Tony D and Little Jones somewhere in the house, and this is your Screenwriter's Rant on Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim, an animated thing, kind of from Peter Jackson, but not really, going back to Middle Earth, fleshing out some of the backstory of Tolkien. I can't help but feel like the animation's all wrong for this. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books, links in the description. Comedy Horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 15. Available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. Actually, the entire movie's kind of unnecessary from my perspective. I love Lord of the Rings. I think Peter Jackson's Christmas, if you want to say it. I think Peter Jackson's movies are great. I mean, this delves into the lore, but if you're going to change the lore, why do it? Why do it if you're going to change the lore, especially for something like Lord of the Rings? And thanks a lot for showing me clips of the live action movie in this, because that's misleading. I don't need to see that. Okay? Let this thing stand on its own, or don't bother propping it up at all. That was a huge turnoff. Seeing clips of the live action movie and then going into the cartoon, dumb move. It's going to remind you how high the bar is, number one. Number two, it's live action. This is a cartoon. Now, I'm not anti-anime, but I don't think anime, I don't know, for this, it looks too soft. If that makes any sense. It doesn't feel grungy enough to be Lord of the Rings. You could argue this is a different era or whatever, but yeah, I'm not feeling the Lord of the Rings vibe. And then the major thing, of course, is it focuses on girl boss. So it's another girl boss movie, it looks like to me. It's not going to focus on Helm of Helm's Deep. He that's what Helm's Deep was named after. Helm's Hammerhand. He punched a dude and killed him, and that's how his story goes. And that sounds like a cool character to follow around, but it's not going to follow him. It's going to follow his hot daughter as she shows the men that she don't need no man. That's the vibe I'm getting, and I want nothing to do with that. And you might say, oh, that's not it. It's actually different. You know what? That's what it looks like. And that's enough for me to watch this trailer and go, no thanks. No thanks. Plus the anime is... I like anime. I don't think it's right for this. The look's too off. I would like something rougher looking. I want the characters to have a rougher look to them. More gritty. Especially since you're talking humans in Middle Earth. So yeah, and I'm not gonna watch well, at least they put a redhead back in the movie. I'll give them that. But I'm no interest in watching some fantasy girl boss beat all the men around. You know, it's just. You got a dude that kills a guy with a punch. He's going to fade into the background. His daughter, though, I don't want to see her, okay? Or rather, I want to see her as a supporting cast. Sure. She seemed like a supporting cast member until about halfway through this trailer, and then it changes. So look. You're taking indices from Lord of the Rings or whatever, from Tolkien's indexes. I mean, why don't you just loot the guy's grave while you're at it? It just feels like the index, you're going to loot the index? He only wrote so much stuff. Okay? Yeah, he had an index. Okay. Cool. Let it be an index. Stop trying to make things out of it. Just you could have made your own story with this. You didn't have to set it in Middle Earth just to get people to watch it. because it's a turnoff for people who actually likes the Lord of the Rings. I like the Lord of the Rings. I can only be disappointed in this movie. It's not going to be Lord of the Rings. It's not going to have any of the characters I like, from Lord of the Rings. If this had been its own thing, fantasy setting, make up a bunch of names, yeah, then maybe it would have been cool. But if you're not going to bother to follow whatever's in the index exactly, I don't know why you're doing this. Because that's the only way you're going to make the Tolkien heads happy. And they're the only ones that really want to see something this obscure. Otherwise, you might as well have made your own cartoon anime movie about a fantasy setting where a female girl boss wins the day. At least then it could be more realistic. It doesn't fly in the face of Tolkien's Middle Earth, which, yeah, there was a female who wins the day in Lord of the Rings, but she was portrayed as being the exception rather than the rule, right? Because the turn of phrase was, I cannot be defeated by any man. I am no man. That was cool. It was unusual. And that's the way it's portrayed in the movie. You just throw in another girl boss in Lord of the Rings, you undermine that scene, which is epic. I don't want to see something that's going to undermine the movie I already like. And again, I'm not thrilled with the anime. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's an awful anime. I'm just saying the look of it doesn't really do anything for me. You got a couple of names here, and again, I feel like it's just a bunch of producers sitting around flipping through the book of rights they have, the IPs, and going, oh, can we make something out of this? Oh, let's make something out of this. And then developing something. Oh, but yeah, make it woke too, because, that's all we do now. Is throwing a girl to, make sure we lose money. So will fantasy fans like this? You got enough mileage out of Lord of the Rings, I guess, that you can coast on its credibility to a certain degree and get something out of that. But I don't think it's going to be setting the world on fire. However, if it had been an original thing, you might have had a chance. Again, you just need writers. But obviously, Hollywood doesn't seem to have any, since they just go back to indexes rather than saying, hey, why don't we hire that cool new writer who's written a lot of books that everybody's read? Something like that. And then there's the idea that you develop something to death, which happens more often than you think in Hollywood. They literally just keep rewriting the script over and over again, and nobody can agree on anything, and eventually, trying to incorporate everybody's 2 cents at the meaning doesn't work out for anybody. Creative endeavors need vision. Does this have a vision? Kind of. It's kind of partly Tolkien's vision, part Peter Jackson's vision, I guess, and the director's vision. It's a lot of vision to jam in a movie. You need one guy with the vision. He has to be the driver of this thing. Have to say, we're going that way. And when somebody says, ooh, boss, can we turn? No, we're going that way. Oh, this looks dangerous and risky. Yeah, that's why I'm going that way. So, first act, there's a marriage proposal between one king's daughter and son, but she don't need no man. She doesn't want to marry him, even though they were childhood friends, and it's medieval times. The king, hammer hand, says no to the offer. They get into a fight. He punches the dude so hard he dies, and now we're in a war. So it's the new young king versus the old king, but we're going to focus on his daughter, because she's really the key to everything, because that's the way this rolls. She runs off and has many adventures, I guess, I don't know, getting reinforcements or whatever. And then Helm Hammerhead wins, and the daughter, I'm going to guess, becomes queen instead of the crown being passed to a king. That's the vibe I'm getting. I don't know that for a fact. I haven't read this particular part of the index in Tolkien, but I don't trust these guys. Like, if it was just Peter Jackson, I might trust him. Feels like he just took a check and they put his name on this movie. Let's see what his actual credit is. Oh, here it is. No, I don't want to watch the trailer. I want to see Lord of the Rings War. There it is. War of Rohirrim. So, director Kenji Kamiyama. Okay. Writers Phoebe Gittins, Artie Papagiora, and Jeffrey Adis. Any producer credits here? Yeah. Peter Jackson is one of the executive producers. That, to me, that doesn't mean much. To me, that means he agreed to have his name on it, and that's about it. Maybe he sat in on a few meetings, said, you should probably do this, and this. But, I mean, what's he going to do, really? Look at all the people on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 executive producers. I don't know the names of the other people. I guess I could do the research, but I don't care. The only guy I care about is Peter Jackson on a project like this. Brian Cox is in this, which is interesting because didn't he just blast the Marvel movies and call them nonsense or something? Or am I thinking of a different actor? He's a good actor though. I don't know, man. I'll wait for the nerds to weigh in on this one. But my vibe is it's going to be girl bossy and kind of watchable for fantasy fans like me, but not super awesome. Just kind of there. And it'll just be dumped on streaming somewhere and kind of just sit there and rent it for $3 once in a while. Watch some fantasy. So kind of like, the sort of movie you'd put on in the background of a D&D session would be my guess. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan somewhere in the background. Thanks for tuning in today. Saturday, I will be at the Shoreline Vintage Show. This is in Richland, New Jersey, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Very early, but it's at Shoreline Vintage. They got a big area of woods back there in the Pine Barrens. So it's a perfect place for me. Hope to see you there. We'll see you